Good morning, everyone. My name is Tammy Sadler-Jones. I'm the Assistant City Administrator, and I'd like to call to order the License and Variance Board meeting for Wednesday, April 9th, 2014. Board members present to my left is Scott Stokes, the Director of Public Works, and to his left is David Lee, the Chief of Police. Rosemary Rivera is the Executive Assistant to the City Administrator, and she will be taking the official meeting minutes. First item is a public hearing, variance request V14005, reduction of side setback from 10 feet to 3 feet, 0.68 acres, land lot 412, 3326 South Cobb Drive, John Dixon. Please step to the podium, please. And for the record, can you state your name and please tell us about your variance request?
John H. Dixon, that's spelled D-I-C-K-S-O-N, and the variance request will be...
Can you speak up, please?
The variance request will be the owner and the contractor here will have to answer your questions on that.
Okay, all right. Can he step to the podium? For the record, can you please state your name and explain the variance request, please?
Okay, my name is Napoleon Onate. And Jimmy, if you want
to. The building used to be a Hardee's.
Can you state your name?
Jimmy Gray.
Okay.
The building used to be a Hardee's, and we want the drive-through. We ain't doing nothing with the drive-through. It closed. We want to enclose it and put the walk-in cooler outside and a patio on the other side.
Okay. All right. Any questions? All right. Well, at this time, we'll have a statement by our staff, Joey Stobbs, planner with community development.
Hey, I'm Joey Stobbs, planner 1 with community development. There are 2 variances associated with this property. Reduction in the side setback from 10 feet to 3 feet, and a parking reduction from 76 to 62 spaces. As they've said, this is formerly a drive-through restaurant that is now a full-service sit-down restaurant. It's been operating there for several years. They want to do several expansions to the side property that require the setback reduction. And this is seating area for the patio. I think the walk-in cooler and the drive-through enclosure, I think, is just for storage, if I'm correct. So, but the patio is pretty substantial. So it needs a side setback reduction and it needs a parking reduction. Currently there's 42 spaces on the property. And to do everything they want to do, the parking is calculated by gross floor area. So they would need 76 spaces to meet the requirement. In addition, it's non-conforming in that it does not have the necessary landscape requirements that the parking lot should have according to the South Cobb Corridor Design District. So we have worked with the owner and the developers to try to work out a solution to all this. This is, I think, the best we've been given. We've reviewed it and recommended denial because we just think the building's overgrown what it was originally intended to be, and that if what we would prefer to see is the landscape in the parking lot try to meet that requirement and of course add as many spaces as possible too, but I don't think there's any way they could ever get the 76 that are required.
Any questions?
So staff has asked the developer, owner, whomever, that there are certain criteria that needs to be met further versus just throwing in a site plan with showing the additions and reduction in parking, but yet doesn't sound like they've addressed other needs that community development sees necessary.
That's correct.
Any questions, David? Okay. Questions for the applicant? All right. Can you please step forward?
So with respect to what I've just mentioned to our staff, I mean, do you understand that, they did want to work with you to a degree? I mean, why couldn't you address some of the issues that they saw?
No, this is actually something that I had just heard the other day, and this is all new to me as well. Like the recent that I think we need to have a bigger green space. That I just found out not too long ago as well. So if I could try to change it up or come up with a different plan, I mean, I will. It's not that I don't want to do that. I absolutely would. It's just something that's new to me as well.
Would you be interested in us having to table this item and you continue working with community development?
Oh, yeah.
Is that something you'd be okay? Okay. Okay with it. All right. Well, can I entertain a motion that we table this item? How much time, Joey, do you think would be sufficient?
The deadline for the next hearing is already passed.
Okay.
So it would be the first one in May.
Got a calendar here.
I think it's the 14th. So May 14th should be a sufficient time, I would think.
Okay. All right. I'd like to entertain a motion that we table public hearing variance request V14005, reduction of side setback from 10 feet to 3 feet, 0.68 acres, land lot 412, 3326 South Cobb Drive. Dunn Dixon is the applicant until May the 14th.
Make a motion we table variance request V14-005, reduction of side setback from 10 to 3 feet, 0.68 acres, land lot 412, 3326 South Cobb Drive. John Dixon is applicant. Make that form a motion.
Okay, I second the motion.
Okay, it's been motioned and properly second that we table variance request V14005 until May the 14th, 2014. All in favor, please vote. All right, motion passes unanimously. And then we'll also table variance request V14006, reduction of parking requirement from 76 spaces to 62 spaces, 0.68 acres, land lot 412, 3326 South Cobb Drive, John Dixon, until May the 14th, 2014.
Make a motion that we table variance request V14-006, reduction of parking requirement from 76 to 62 spaces, 0.68 acres, land lot 412, 3326 South Cobb Drive. John Dixon, the applicant, table that to May 14th.
I second the motion.
It's been motioned and properly second that we table variance request V14006 until May 14, 2014. All in favor, please vote. All right, motion passes unanimously. So we'll look forward to seeing you next month. Okay, thank you. Next item is a public hearing, variance request V14007, allow reduction of side setback from 10 feet to 0 feet for the construction of a carport 0.42 acres, land lot 778, 2535 Rolling View Drive. Nina Medina is the applicant. Can you step to the podium, please? And for the record, can you state your name and tell us about your variance request?
My name is Nina Medina, and this is for a residential property. It's my home, and I want to build a carport over my existing parking pad, which is a concrete parking pad to the side of my house.
Okay. And you're doing it from 0 feet, 10 feet to 0 feet?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Any questions for the applicant?
So this is going to be is it an enclosed carport or is it just an open air
Just an open air.
post with a roof?
Yes.
Are you aware of maybe a few stipulations to the variance request, such as routing your gutters and downspouts away from your adjoining neighbor?
Yes. Currently, the house is kind of like this on the side, so there's no gutters on that side, but the carport will be attached to the side and sloped down and have a gutter on the low end near the neighbor's property.
Which way, I mean, topography-wise, which way will the water run when it hits the
It would
ground?
run towards the front of my property in the front and towards the back in the back.
Are you building this yourself or a contractor?
It'll be a contractor, shady vent.
All right, any more questions? This time we'll have statements by the staff, please. Joey Stops.
The applicant is requesting a side setback reduction 10 feet to 0 feet for construction of a carport. As she mentioned, the existing driveway is it's already up to the property line. She wants to build a carport over that portion of the driveway. There are several other similar structures like this in the neighborhood that we've surveyed, non-conforming setbacks and just similar architectural style. So it would be in keeping with the development pattern that's established in that neighborhood. We've approved variances such as this in the past, so wouldn't create any negative precedent. So just like the one on Lee Street we approved a couple weeks ago, we've added a few conditions. We recommend approval, and that one, approval of the requested variance shall be conditioned upon the development of the property in substantial compliance with the site plan submitted with a variance application. 2, appropriate gutters and downspouts be installed to divert stormwater away from the adjacent property prior to final inspection. And 3, roof overhangs shall not encroach into the adjacent property.
Have we received any comments from any other neighbors?
No.
Okay.
How's the notification given out?
Yes.
How was the notification given out?
Oh, I think she had people sign. She went door to door and had people sign. So.
Yes.
And the sign has been posted as well.
Okay. All right, this is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak regarding this issue, I ask that you please step to the podium at this time. All right. Seeing no one, are there any other additional questions? All right, I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Make a motion we approve variance request V14-007, variance request, allow the reduction of side setback from 10 to 0 feet for the construction of a carport, 0.42 acres, land lot 778, 2535 Rolling View Drive, with the following conditions. Approval of the variance request shall be conditioned upon the development of the property in substantial compliance with the site plan submitted with the variance application. That appropriate gutters and downspouts will be installed to divert water away from the adjacent property prior to final inspection, and that the roof overhang shall not encroach into the adjacent property.
I second that motion.
Okay, it's been motioned and properly second that we approve variance request V14007. All in favor, please vote. All right, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item is a public hearing, variance request V14008, allow reduction of parking from 49 spaces to 40 spaces, 1.1 acres, land lot 558, 1420 Spring Road, Chicken Coop 3, RE LLC. Is anyone here representing that? Okay. It's my understanding that's Zaxby's? Okay. And for the record, can you please state your name and tell us about your first variance request? I know you got several here.
My name is Dustin Mullis.
Okay.
I'm the owner and operator. We actually have 2 other locations in Cobb County. I have our engineer here with us to present it, but I wanted to introduce myself. So
Okay.
Turning it over to Jeff Carter.
All right.
Good morning. I'm Jeff Carter with Carter Engineering Consultants. And just to make sure I understand, we're going to take these one by one? Or?
Yes.
Okay. So the first one is the parking reduction. Zaxby's, as most of you probably know, has several hundred locations throughout the southeast, close to 600 now. And the corporate standard for parking with this size building is 40 parking spaces. You will see, there's several Zaxby's around the area. Most of the 70-seat restaurants, which is what we have, what we're proposing, has 40 spaces, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. The larger stores, there's a 90-seat store that has a 50-space minimum. And this is, I know this city code is one thing, but I'm just trying to give you a picture of what the corporate standard is based on their data they've gathered over, several hundred restaurants. So we are more than satisfied in this location with 40 parking spaces, and we feel it will adequately fulfill our needs. And with that, I'll try to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
All right. Any questions? Okay. All right. Joey, you want to make a statement in regards to this item?
Sure. He pretty much covered it. It's a reduction of parking from 49 to 40 spaces. There are several variances associated with this request because it's the arrangement of that property is interesting and unique because the way that it angles in a triangular manner, it reduces a lot of the buildable area of that parcel. So the city standard is 49 spaces. We feel comfortable with the reduction to 40. As he said, it's their corporate standard that they're meeting. We've recommended approval. There's several conditions that apply to the whole development. I can talk about those now or later.
We can just talk about those later.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Any questions about the parking request? All right. Well, this is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak regarding this particular item, variance request V14008, allow reduction of parking from 49 spaces to 40 spaces. Please step to the podium at this time. All right. Seeing no one, I would like to entertain a motion, please.
I think what we'll do is on the stipulations, we'll just add that to the last variance request.
That's fine.
Okay. Like a motion that we approve variance request V14-003, 8, allow reduction of parking from 49 spaces to 40 spaces, 1.1 acres, land lot 558, 1420 Spring Road, as the applicant.
I second that motion.
It's been motioned and properly second that we approve variance request V14008. All in favor, please vote. All right, motion passes unanimously. Okay, next item is a public hearing, variance request V14009. Allow reduction of Spring Road landscape strip from 15 feet to 3 feet, 1.1 acres, land lot 558, 1420 Spring Road, Chicken Coop 3 RE LLC, Zaxby's.
I'm going to try to hold up my visual aid here. I don't know if you can see it or not, but maybe you can kind of get oriented here. Atlanta Road is here, Spring Road is up here, and we do have a 15-foot landscape strip all the way around the property. We are able to maintain that. If you can see here, the way the right of way for Spring Road from this point starts to taper away from the road. So we are asking to reduce the 15-foot landscape strip requirement here, but in reality, if you're driving down the road, it's going to be considerably more than 15 feet the way this right of way starts to. I'm not sure, it's very unusual. You don't normally see that, but that is the case here. So all the existing vegetation and everything will remain in the right of way as it currently is. So I really don't think this will be any impact at all visually, because we were able to maintain the 15, even more than 15 feet at the intersection. So I don't know if you can see this. I hope that makes sense, but I'll try to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Where do you plan on putting your sign?
We have one sign location here at the intersection.
Oriented as it is on the plan?
Pretty much. I mean, our sign vendor hasn't taken a hard look at this, but we do want to be able to see the sign, as you sit at the intersection. So I can't tell you definitively, but yes, I think it's close.
You don't anticipate calling the city of Smyrna sometime in the future and say, how about cutting down all your trees because nobody can see my building from Spring Road? I guess there's some trees there, and that's probably a request that's not going to get met.
I understand. Yeah, and I think we fully understand that. We've never been able to cross that bridge in the past with getting the trees cut down, but I appreciate you bringing that up. So.
All right, Joey.
The applicant's requesting a landscape strip reduction from 15 feet to 3 feet. As Jeff mentioned, the right-of-way about up to the entrance on Spring Road, right after the entrance, the right-of-way fans out and starts encroaching into the subject property. So visually, there will be no impact. You won't know that there was a landscape strip reduction because of the right-of-way median is pretty significant in that area, and it's only a portion of the property that they're requesting it on. So we've recommended approval on that.
All right. Any questions for the staff?
What? And I missed. I lost my place here. Sorry on the landscape strip that we're talking about now. I mean, do we know what the plan is for it, or is that come during plan review?
Right, it'll come during plan review. It's conceptual right now. We don't have a fully developed landscape plan at this point.
Does the applicant know possibly what you're planning for the 3-foot area?
We haven't done a full landscape plan yet. We have not put a whole lot of thought into it. I will say, comparatively speaking, with a lot of fast food restaurants, Zaxby's does an extremely good job with their landscaping. I think you will find that we'll, at the very minimum, meet the code, but usually we go over in terms of shrubbery and evergreen plantings and that sort of thing.
All right. This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak regarding this particular variance, V14009, allow reduction of Spring Road landscape strip from 15 feet to 3 feet, I ask that you please step to the podium at this time. All right. Seeing no one, I would like to entertain a motion, please.
Make a motion that variance request V14-003, reduction of Spring Road landscape strip from 15 to 3 feet, 1.1 acres, land lot 5581420 Spring Road, be approved. Applicant Chicken Coop 3 RE LLC. Make that in form of the motion.
I second that motion.
All right. It's been motioned and properly second that we approve variance request V14009. All in favor, please vote. All right. Motion passes unanimously. Next item is a public hearing. Variance request V14010. Allow reduction of rear setback from 100 feet to 76 feet, 1.1 acres, land lot 558, 1420 Spring Road, Chicken Coop 3, RE LLC. If you want to explain this item, please.
Originally, we actually submitted a slightly different plan, and we heard from the property owner immediately behind us here, and also city staff. We had a couple of meetings, and our original submittal was actually around a 60-foot rear setback, and we were able to meet both front setbacks, which I know we'll talk about in a minute, but they do kind of go hand in hand. And basically what we did was we took the building and pushed it as far forward as we could and still able to maintain safe access around the building. And what it wound up being was 76 feet off the property line, this rear corner. It is just this corner. And as you go further up the page, you get to be more of a building setback. But what we're asking for there is just the 76-foot setback. So we did try to push the building as far forward as we could to get as much of a building setback as we can. That's where we wound up. So thank you.
When you talk to the adjacent property owner, you probably talk to the HOA. I guess that's who owns a sliver of land between you and the developed houses.
That's right.
Have you talked to any of the residents, or was it a meeting with the entire HOA, or how did that?
Yeah, let me kind of explain what happened, because when we initially submitted this, we sent out notifications to the surrounding property owners. Mr. Mullis, who is going to be the owner and operator of the restaurant, went directly to the HOA and said, "Hey, look, we know this is coming. We want to show you what we have." And I'll let him address. He was at the meeting, and I'll kind of let him fill you on the details.
So like Jeff said, once we kind of started moving forward with this, we actually were very proactive. We reached out to the HOA behind us, the president, Cheryl Collier, and the management company, and told them we wanted to sit down with them. So Wade Lineca and I and Cheryl sat down. She represents the community. She is the president of the HOA, and went over our plan in detail. We had coffee together, and she provided us several comments, and we addressed them. That was a Thursday for 10 o'clock. She had a Monday afternoon HOA meeting, and we addressed everything she wanted. We actually met with these guys Monday morning, and then took her a plan and said, "Hey, here's what we've done to address your concerns." And she was pleased with it. She presented it to her board. and got positive feedback. So she came to the meeting hesitant of Zaxby's and left. She's in support now. So we think we did we covered most of what she had to brought up as issues.
What were those issues?
So she, obviously the biggest one was the rear setback. So she wanted us to, and Wade agreed that she wanted us to move the building as much forward as we could. So we did that. We moved it forward about 14 or 15 feet. She had concerns of, we're in the rear setback. She wanted us to add evergreens in the back. And if you notice on the site plan, there's a whole line of evergreens. And we specifically named out the type of tree she requested. Some of the other issues were she had questions about the landscape strip, but when we explained it to her, she was fine with it. I've actually got a list.
I see in this in the staff notes there was some issues in regards to the drive-through and the microphone
That's
volume.
Correct. That's correct. So
can you
what
address that for us?
I will. Yes. So what we did with that, and this is actually before they even recommended it. There's a curb behind our drive-through that was Jeff actually made it larger, and we're going to heavy landscape that curb behind our drive-through in addition to the line of evergreen trees. So there's 2 buffers of landscape. He can show you on this, but of what we did to try to address that.
This area right here is a very large, heavily landscaped area that separates the parking lot from the back of the building, and that's in addition to the landscaping back here. So it's almost like a two-stage buffer, if you will.
Okay.
In addition to that, we did pull some data directly from 3M, sent it to Joey, showing him that based on what we did, based on the data we have, we think there will be no impact. We do have the ability to, even at night, turn it into a night mode. So we feel confident there's not going to be an issue.
Okay.
Where is the speaker located?
Let me show you. The actual speaker would be right in here, right in front of this landscape strip. So the car comes around like this, speaker would be right in here.
What type of landscaping is in that island, or has that been determined yet?
It will be a evergreen, at minimum a double row. We do have here, we have a triple row of evergreen shrubs, and also 2 or 3 trees in there just to make it look nicer. But standing here looking at it, at the time of the planting, it's going to be a solid evergreen hedgerow.
So that would prevent, at nighttime, people's headlights from flashing into the back of people's homes.
Yep. In addition to this line of trees, which are Italian cypress trees, is what she wanted, what they requested as a community, and we said we honor that. So.
Okay. Any other questions? Mr. Stobbs, please.
Applicant's requesting a rear setback reduction from 100 feet to 76 feet. Jeff mentioned that the first reiteration of this site plan had a rear setback of like 63 feet, I think. We agree with the Montclair neighborhood that the building should be pushed up as far as possible. That, of course, is the catalyst for the front setback, because originally they were able to meet the front setback with a greater rear setback reduction. So we're trying to balance that out. And again, that's due to the shape of the lot, the topography, and all of the other corridor design requirements that are this property is subject to. So we've asked the applicant and emphasized the importance of the menu board speaker to see if they could redirect it. They worked on that. Due to the architectural style of the building and other conditions I'm not exactly sure about, but they aren't able to move it. So to mitigate that, they've added these row of evergreen shrubs and trees in the median behind the drive-through, and then that row of evergreens on the back property line. There's a property owner at 1401 Montclair. He's not present. I think he's in Vancouver. He has requested that they put a wooden privacy fence on the rear property line, and then they push, either adjust that row of trees so that it's closer to Atlanta Road as close as possible without site visibility issues. He has made that request, which we think those are reasonable requests. And it is in part due to the rear setback reduction that's why that's needed. I think that's it for that.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, the property owner you said in Vancouver, does he live there or is he absentee owner?
He's absentee. I think he rents that property.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question for the question for the applicant. With respect to your drawing, is there an elevation change between your evergreens that you're going to plant along the parking lot and the Montclair HOA property?
Yeah, I can give you just a general idea. From our building finished floor elevation in this area back here, the back parking lot will be approximately 3 feet lower than this shrub row. And then as the elevation from here to Montclair is probably another 4 feet. It does, in this area it's not so much, but as you go back this way it becomes more and more of a elevation difference. So I would say right in this area it's about another 3 foot drop to here, and as you go back towards this area it may be 6 feet.
Okay.
Does that help?
That answers.
All right, this is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak regarding variance request V14010, allow reduction of rear setback from 100 feet to 76 feet, I ask that you please step to the podium at this time. And for the record, can you state your name?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Deb Thomas. I am a property owner in the community at 1413 Montclair Court. So I am not in the first building, which would directly abut the Zaxby's, but I'm in the second building, second unit. I learned about the plan for Zaxby's on the 31st of March, which was the same day that my HOA had a board meeting, which I was not able to attend. What I want to say is that I would rather not have this property, or sorry, this business move into this property. I feel like it's too small. It doesn't really accommodate, I think, a restaurant that contains a drive-through and has, what's likely to be a lot of traffic. But what I wanted to speak about specifically is a couple of concerns that didn't get discussed this morning, having to do with odors and dumpster placement. Mm-hmm. So if the owners could speak on the plan for that.
Okay.
So the question about the dumpster placement, and Jeff can fill in anywhere I miss, but we did discuss possibly moving the dumpster. One thing they brought up was moving the dumpster over here, and we talked to Cheryl about this when we followed up with her, is the problem with that, we have no problem with moving it. They weighed in, Cheryl had brought up us moving it to where there are 3 spots to get it a little bit away. The negative to that, and Cheryl agreed, was the doors of the dumpster would then face their property. So they're going to, as it sits right now, they're going to see a brick side of a dumpster enclosure, which is if I lived there, I would prefer seeing the brick side of the dumpster. Cheryl agreed. So they suggested moving it to this spot here, but they're going to see the front of the dumpsters with the doors, and obviously a little less appealing, I would think, than the brick side. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I just want to add that as far as dumpsters go, this is a extremely nice enclosure. The enclosure matches the building in terms of exterior look, and it does have steel gates on the dumpster. So, like Dustin was saying, we don't have a problem moving it to here because we can access it without any problem. But if I were back here, I would rather see the side, which this whole area here will be landscaped as well. We just haven't done the final landscaping, but there'll be landscaping here, so you're looking at a brick wall as opposed to the front of the dumpster. So,
what size dumpster does Zaxby's typically use?
it's a 24-foot wide, 14-foot deep enclosure, and you might can speak to how often you have your
Typically, in our other two stores, they come 2 to 3 times a week. We have 2 of them, and like he said, this is extremely nice. It matches the building. If you
don't know what size you use.
I think they're. Don't hold me to this. I think they're the standard. I think it's 5 yards, if I'm right. It's the standard size dumpster. I think it's called a 5-yard dumpster, but I don't know the exact size of it, but it's standard in our business.
Do you own another store?
We have 2 more. Yes, sir.
How often do they get? You said, do you think 2 to 3 times a week?
I know for a fact 2 to 3.
They have to be 2 to 3 times a week.
Just depends on the volume of the stores. Depended on the volume. The current 2 other stores are the volume is 2 to 3 times a week.
Might as well talk about dumpsters while we're on it. What about cooking oil? How do you handle that?
Actually, we use a system. We've started with our second store. That's the cooking oil is stored inside. We no longer store it in the dumpster area, so it's stored in an enclosed container. It's actually for liability purposes. We do this. We don't want our employees rolling hot oil to the back dumpster, so that would be a non-issue. It's in the store.
So is it a system where you have it recycled on site?
That's correct. And they come in and they plug into the side of our building, pull it out. There's a whole system that pulls it out of the building, and it's not put in the dumpster area anymore.
Can you talk about your hours of operation? It's my understanding that you're going to be opening at 6 a.m. and closing at 6 p.m.
No, that's not correct. We're opening at we actually, as it sits today, Zaxby's as a brand is testing breakfast. As it sits today, we're open at 10:30 and we close at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So this site, when we open, will be 10:30 to 10.
Okay. Right.
When we roll out breakfast, and we made this clear to Joey, is we have to have the ability, if we're going to do this site, if we roll out breakfast, we have to have the ability to do breakfast. So that's why I included 6 a.m. to 10:30. I'm sorry, to 10 p.m.
Okay. All right.
The dumpsters are the city contracts commercial waste. So basically you'd apply for a dumpster through the city, and then our contractor would service you. Probably one of those, you're probably going to fall into one of those categories where the city's going to mandate through our commercial division that the container be emptied during waking hours, not 6 in the morning, 7 like that. So we don't want all that kind of noise. So just keep that in mind, that you may be subject to a dumpster dump at 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon versus early morning.
That would be a problem with us.
Is your other stores? Does your enclosures have a roof system on them?
City of Smyrna, City of Marietta, the first store we did, the one beside Kennestone Hospital, was not required to have an overhead. The second store, which was Cobb County, went through the Cobb County, it's actually by Sprayberry High School. It was required to have a roof, so I have one of each.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions or comments? I was going to ask her. Does that address your question, the dumpster?
That's on the dumpster, but when I
Speak into the mic, please.
when I mentioned odor, I had in mind the smells coming into my home from what's going on in the restaurant. And I wondered if anything could be done about that. I mean, I eat the food, but I don't want to smell it at home.
Mm-hmm.
I been working for Zaxby's for about 15 years and have been a part of several hundred restaurants. And one thing that may help is the fact that nobody wants smell from the dumpster because it's extremely bad for business. I have yet to see one that was able to remain where you could smell it for very long at all. Simply because if you're picking up 3 times a week, there's not going to be the garbage. I mean, they have a maintenance plan. Some restaurants come in. They may leave it for a week, or they may leave it till it fills up. But that's not going to be the case here, and I can assure you that that the owners don't want it to smell either. So, hope that helps.
I'm sorry, I'm probably beating a dead horse here. I'm talking about the cooking smells of the food.
The property zone general commercial, and this is not a rezoning request. That zoning allows restaurants, drive-through restaurants. If the setback reduction is approved at 76 feet, it's still greater than what you would see in anywhere else in the city. Nowhere else has a rear setback of 100 feet. But I don't, in my opinion, the reduction of 24 feet is not going to increase the odor that comes from the restaurant. And that's the issue we're dealing with here. So.
Would you all like to make any other statements?
I did. I just wanted to throw this in. I think the standard is, you do get smells from restaurants that are older. With the advances they made with these hood vent systems, I mean, it's nominal. They've got it's called, I think it's I talked to the guy that actually installs it because this was something Wade and Cheryl and I briefly talked about. And there are options, and we're required to use them. That I think he referred to it as triple filtration. But I can tell you, I go to my stores every day. I'm around. I'm not an absentee owner, and I park in the parking lot, and you can't smell Zaxby's. I mean, it's. I feel confident that wouldn't be an issue.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? Okay. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion that we, in regards to variance request V14010.
Make a motion to approve variance request V14-010, allow the reduction of rear setback from 100 feet to 76 feet, 1.1 acres, land lot 558, 1420 Spring Road, Chicken Coop 3, RE, LLC. Making that form of motion.
And I second that motion.
It's been motioned and properly second that we approve variance request V14010. All in favor, please vote. All right, motion passes unanimously. Next item is a public hearing, variance request V14011, allow reduction of Spring Road front setback from 50 feet to 44 feet, 1.1 acres, land lot 558, 1420 Spring Road, Chicken Coop 3, RE LLC.
This variance request is in correlates to us having to, or us agreeing to, move the building closer to the road to increase the rear setback. So as far as I know, I think everybody's in agreement this is the way to go. So be glad to try to answer any questions.
Any questions? All right, Joey.
Yes, this front setback reduction is, as Jeff said, it correlates to the rear setback reduction. Originally, they were able to meet the front setback, but then when they pushed the building forward, that now triggers a reduction in the front setback from 50 to 44 feet. I think that's as close. They've pushed it up as close as they can when you take into fact where the entrance is and all of the turning radiuses required. I'll talk about some of the other recommendations we've made that Zaxby's has agreed to. We've asked them to do brick pavers in the crosswalks. After this report was submitted, we've also asked them to connect this crosswalk on Atlanta Road for the ADA space, that it connect somehow to the sidewalk on Atlanta Road. There's steep topography there, so it won't be ADA compliant, but we've asked them to just post a sign saying ADA access from Spring Road, something to that effect, because we do want connection there. We've asked them to, in the right-of-way at the corner of Atlanta Road and Spring Road, we've asked them to put some type of public feature. They've met that by putting in brick pavers, and they're going to put 2 benches that meet the style of what's in Market Village and around Smyrna. We've required them to do right in, right out on both entrances and exits. And what else? They'll have to combine both. There's 2 parcels on the subject property. They'll have to combine that through the plat process to make them one property. Public Works has asked them or stated that potable or other water needs will be supplied on the Spring Road side of the property. And we've talked about the row of evergreen trees on the back property line. We've asked them to put a yield sign on the north side of the building, separating the drive-through traffic from the circular traffic. So the traffic circulating the building will yield to the drive-through lane. We've made a stipulation that if they do find a means to redirect the menu board, that they do that, and we'll approve that without require them to resubmit to the variance board. And we've limited their hours of operations from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. And we've recommended approval on this variance request.
And in regards to the ADA connection, the city engineer has reviewed that?
Correct.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak regarding this particular issue, variance request V14011, I ask that you please step to the podium at this time. All right. Seeing no one, I would like to you got questions, Scott? Okay. All right. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve variance request V14-011. I'm sorry, 011. Allow the reduction of Spring Road setback from 50 feet to 44 feet. Land lot 1.1 acres, land lot 558, 1420 Spring Road, Chicken Coop 3, reference LLC, with, I guess, the following conditions. Approval of the requested variance shall be conditioned upon the development of the property in substantial compliance with the site plan and elevations submitted with the variance applications. A gateway feature shall be installed in the right-of-way at the intersection of Atlanta Road and Spring Road, subject to the approval of the Community Development Department and City Engineer. Benches placed in the right-of-way shall be of the style known as CDB 300, manufactured by Canterbury International, in 6-foot and 8-foot lengths to match those in the Market Village. Concrete pavers used shall match existing pavers in sidewalk along Atlanta Road, subject to approval prior to construction. Both parcels that comprise the subject property shall be combined through the final plat process prior to construction. Any additional potable or other water needs shall be supplied on the Spring Road side of the property. And additionally, I'd like to make a stipulation that the dumpster enclosure have a roof system on it. And then another condition, that if the speaker cannot be located at least 100 feet or comply with the 100-foot setback, in other words, another 100 feet from the property line, that a minimum of a 4-foot opaque wood fence be installed either in the island separating the drive-through and the parking lot, or a minimum 4-foot wood opaque fence be installed along the row of evergreen shrubs, which is adjacent to the angled parking. Make that in form of a motion.
It's another page of conditions.
Sir, there is?
Yeah.
Oh my.
I second that motion.
Wait. I got some more.
Additional
stipulations there that they threw at me. A row of evergreen shrubs shall be planted along the rear property line, 10 feet on center, approximately 180 feet in length, and a mixture of evergreen shrubs and trees planted within the median in the area of the drive-through menu board. A yield sign shall be posted in the median next to the drive-through lane before the exit on Spring Road. The entrance that exits on Spring and Atlanta Road shall be right in, right out only. The applicant shall have the option to move the location of the menu board to an area that reduces impact on the adjacent neighbor, subject to the approval of the community development. And that additional stipulation that I had put in earlier with respect to 100 feet should be complied with on number 9. The connection from ADA crosswalk on Atlanta Road shall have a connection to Atlanta Road sidewalk, and hours of operation limited from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. That's my motion.
I second that motion.
So, Zaxby's, are you in agreement to the stated stipulations?
I just wanted clarification on the menu board. If I understood correctly, if the menu board cannot be located 100 feet from the rear property line, then the shrubs that you stated applies. Is that Was that correct? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, the fence. Okay. All right. I just want to make sure.
Yes, we're okay with that.
Thank you. It's been motioned and properly second that we approve variance request V14011, allow reduction of Spring Road front setback from 50 feet to 44 feet, 1.1 acres, land lot 558, 1420 Spring Road, Chicken Coop 3, RE, LLC. All in favor? Please vote. All right, motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much, and we look forward to you guys opening. Oh, when do you expect to open?
We were just talking about this. We hope to break ground in July, which would put us opening sometime early, I'd say July, August, so October.
All right.
Sometime in October, probably.
All right. Well, thank you. Next item is a public hearing, variance request V14012, allow reduction of parking from 11 spaces to 8 spaces, 0.28 acres, land lot 452, 1020 Concord Road, Blue Frog Construction. Hi.
Hi. Sean Rainey, Blue Frog Construction.
Okay, all right. And can you tell us about your first variance request?
The first one is to reduce the amount of parking that will be required because we're looking to increase the size of the existing vet office there for Dr. Pettit. The space in front of her building doesn't really allow for any additional parking to be added, and there's no space beside the building to get a drive-in to go around to the back to add parking. Mm-hmm. So right now there are 8 parking spaces there. One is marked as handicapped, and I did want to make a note that if this is approved, if we're required to make a loading zone for that handicapped parking spot, it would be 7 spaces instead of 8. Okay. And really, it's all based upon needing to expand the practice to get in a little bit bigger surgery center, just to be able to service her needs more and her clients more. And there's plenty of room in the back of the property to expand within the setbacks. It's just the parking is not there. The one thing, though, is she owns the residential property right next door to it, which is her house. So she's more than willing to allow, her car and the cars of her staff to park on her property in order to reduce the amount of parking actually needed by clients.
Okay. Any questions? All right, Mr. Stiles, please.
Applicant pretty much covered it. They're asking for a reduction of 11 spaces to 8 spaces. 8 spaces is what is currently on the property. They want to expand to the rear. No setback reductions are required for that addition. It's about 600 square feet. And that is strictly for, I think, office and surgery area. And they're not trying to add patient rooms to get more people in there. So we feel comfortable recommending approval for the reduction since it's not area that's going to generate more traffic from that business. Okay. As he mentioned, they also own the adjacent property. So if the staff at the vet clinic need to park over there to free up parking, I think she's willing to make that accommodation.
Okay. Any questions for the staff?
So there's an adjacent parking lot.
So there's the vet clinic, and then she owns the adjacent property directly on the other side.
Which is a residence.
It's a residence.
Oh, it's a driveway.
Yeah,
oh.
And it's zoned future commercial. It's just one of those properties on Concord Road that's zoned future commercial for redevelopment purposes, but yeah, she lives right next door.
Okay. You had another comment?
I did have another comment. One thing Joe and I talked about on email was we were not only including 600 square feet behind the building, but we're probably going to build up a little bit, like make the roof a little taller and just include some space inside, about 400 square foot. So I just want to make sure that that was fine with it as well, with the 8 or 7 spaces.
The parking requirement ordinance excludes mechanical area and just I can't remember exactly what it states, but the addition they're doing on the second floor area is mechanical service area. It is not counted towards gross floor area, so that's why it's not included in the 1,400 square feet or 2,000 square feet.
Well, you mentioned 8. I mean, is it 8 square? Is it 8 spaces or 7 spaces?
There's 8 spaces. One is handicap.
Of the 8.
Yes.
It just doesn't have a loading zone for it. We'd like to, if possible, if we could keep the 8 spaces and waive the requirement for the loading zone, that'd be great to have in there as well.
That's a community development issue.
That's the way the property exists today, correct?
Correct.
So we're comfortable with that.
Okay. All right, this is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak regarding variance request V14012, I ask that you please step to the podium at this time. All right, seeing no one, I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve variance request V14-012, allow the reduction of parking from 11 spaces to 8 spaces, 0.28 acres, land lot 452, 1020 Concord Road, Blue Frog Construction. As the applicant, make that informed motion approval.
I second that motion.
It's been motioned and properly second that we approve variance request V14012. All in favor, please vote. All right, motion passes unanimously. Next item is a public hearing, variance request V14013, allow reduction of side setback from 10 feet to 3 feet, 0.28 acres, land lot 4521020 Concord Road, Blue Frog Construction.
Basically, the veterinary building is already over the setback from years ago when it was built, so we're just trying to clean up the property. It's already non-conforming.
So you're not going to encroach upon it any closer than it already is.
That's not the portion we're looking to expand. It's got a little bump out there, and that's the part that goes over. We're looking to expand the other part.
There, this is an existing non-conforming condition. It's not required that they get a variance, but they requested one just so that it's on record. We recommended approval of that with these 2 conditions: that approval of the requested variance shall be conditioned upon the development of the property in substantial compliance with the site plan submitted with the variance application, and 2, all applicable requirements of the tree ordinance shall be met.
Any questions?
Question for the owner.
Can you state your name, please?
I'm Roxanne Pettit.
So realistically, you don't anticipate any increase in activity at the...
I really don't. We have been struggling with a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom ranch footprint to try to run a vet clinic. I've owned it for 14 years now. I pay overtime. We work through lunch. A lot of this is because we have to make all kinds of accommodations because it's just not designed to be a vet clinic. I don't expect to have tons of new clients pouring into that microscopic parking lot. I just want to make it a little bit easier to do what we do and to look a little bit nicer.
What are your hours of operation?
We open Tuesday and Thursday. We open at 7:30. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we open at 8. We close at 5:40, except for Friday and Saturday we close at noon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak regarding this issue, variance request V14013, I ask that you please step to the podium at this time. All right, seeing no one, I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve variance request V14-013, allowed reduction of side setback from 10 feet to 3 feet, 0.28 acres, land lot 452, 1020 Concord Road, Blue Frog Construction as the applicant with the stipulations as follows. Approval of the requested variance shall be conditioned upon development of the property in substantial compliance with the site plan submitted with the variance application. And 2, all applicable requirements of the tree ordinance shall be complied with. Make that in form of a motion for approval.
And I second that motion.
It's been motioned and properly second that we approve variance request V14013. All in favor, please vote. All right, motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Next item is approval of the License and Variance Board meeting minutes of March the 26th, 2014.
Okay, I make the motion 2014-092 that we approve the minutes of the License and Variance Board meeting of March 26, 2014.
Second.
It's been motioned and properly second that we approve the License and Variance Board meeting minutes of March the 26th, 2014. All in favor, please vote. All right, motion passes unanimously, and I'd like to declare this meeting adjourned at 11:14 a.m. Thank you very much.
Gotta get your feet wet. Gotta get your feet wet.